Hey, everybody, welcome in. It's Friday. You made it. Congratulations. You made it to Friday. Jesse Montano, you're going to be joined by Meghan Angley here in just a moment as the Avs continue on their white-hot start, solidifying that first place in the NHL, knocking off the St. Louis Sabres. That's not who they are. The Buffalo Sabres last night at Ball Arena, 6-3. We're going to unpack that. We're going to talk a little bit about Bardikov and the article that came out and with an interview from him earlier this week. And also really excited, Luca from BarDown will be joining us here in just a little bit to talk about this fast start for the Avs here coming out of the gates this season. But first, want to remind you guys about our great friends over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan? Well, with RefiJet, you could save around $150 every single month, all which is a soft credit pull and zero hassle, lower payments, flexible terms, maybe even some cash back in your pocket. And boy, oh boy, is this not the perfect time of year for some extra cash back in your pocket. Head on over refijet.com/sports. You guys hear me say it all the time. The best way to support us and this show and what we're doing here at Guerilla is to show some love to our supporters and our partners. So please head on over refijet.com/sports. See if they can't help you save a little bit of money. They are the faster, easier way to refinance. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Welcome to the show. I'm Jesse Montano. This is Meghan Angley. We got John and Ashley behind the glass today. We're going to be joined by Luca from BarDown in about 20 minutes. Really looking forward to that. It's a long overdue conversation, Meghan. We've tried to get Luca on a couple times over the last year, so really excited to talk with him. But Meghan, how are you doing tonight? Avs coming off another multi-goal win.
I'm doing really well, and I realized that I've been taking Mucinex the last
All right.
48 hours.
Okay, so you actually already stole my punchline because I took some Mucinex this morning, and I am feeling it. Like I am like not like, ooh, I'm feeling it. Like, no, I'm feeling the Mucinex.
Yes, I'm feeling the Mucinex. Last night in the post game, I was really happy, bubbly, and I didn't want you guys to think that I had drinks when I was sitting in the stands. I just had Mucinex and Dippin' Dots, which might have contributed to like a sugar high.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I think the Gavin Brindley goal combined with Dippin' Dots, combined with Mucinex, produced that result, and I'm still feeling it. So I'm in a great mood.
I haven't had, and I'm trying to find a photo in particular of exactly how I'm feeling right now. And you're going to love this once I eventually find it. What kind of Dippin' Dots did you get? I haven't had Dippin'
Banana
Dots.
split.
Oh, interesting.
It's my favorite kind. It actually went
right.
away from concessions for a while, and
Yeah.
it's so back.
I really like Dippin' Dots, and I don't get to have them enough.
Same. It's been years since
Yeah.
I've had them.
Yeah.
I fell off the wagon and had them again.
I fell off the wagon. This is how I feel right now. Can we get the tight on me? That's how I feel.
I don't know why Mucinex produces a really euphoric.
They don't tell you when you take Mucinex that the little mascot, that's not just the mascot, that's how you feel when you take Mucinex.
Was it Jack Hughes who's an ambassador for Mucinex?
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
honestly,
man.
if you look at the Hughes brothers side by side and you had to guess which one takes Mucinex, I would guess it's Jack.
I would guess that Quinn is the walking spokesperson for melatonin.
NyQuil. Yes.
Yeah, NyQuil's a good one too.
He's haunted by a sleep paralysis demon.
But yeah, the little Mucinex character they use, they don't tell you the scared look he makes. No, that's just how you feel when you take Mucinex.
For real.
But hey, I feel better in here. I think everyone that I know is a little bit sick. I think everybody I know is like 5%.
That's
sick.
one of the harsh realities about this job is we're in close proximity to the same group of people and a pretty dense group of people every day.
Yeah.
So if one person gets sick in the media corps, we're all going down like dominoes.
Well, and do you remember on the cup run of 22, that cup final ended and like 50 media members got like violently ill.
Thankfully, I wasn't on that trip. I evaded it. But yes.
Everybody got so sick.
Yes.
And yeah, but hey, we're here. We're Mucinext up, and we're ready to talk Avs. We're ready to talk NHL. Meghan, this has been such a fascinating start to the season for me. Like, you look out east, and really the Buffalo Sabres are kind of the only team that's like out of it. All the other teams are within like 2 points of being either terrible or at the top of their division. In the West, it's maybe starting to separate out a little bit more. You're starting to have some teams that are falling behind, but I think the best teams in the league all reside in the West. It's been a really interesting start. It's been really fun. The Avs pick up another win last night, 12-1-5 on the season. A little bit of a cushion, first overall in the NHL. I was talking with Evan Rowell last night in the tunnel as the final minute was ticking down. Shout out Evan from the Denver Gazette. And he said, this is starting to have 2022 vibes where you show up to the rink and it really doesn't matter how they play. You're expecting them to win no matter what.
It's so true. Like, talking to Kale at morning skate, the question of what are you even talking about between games? Because all you have to hone in on is the little details. And what I want to follow up on is you have to be really engaged to stay locked into those conversations on the little details. Like, I think, I don't know, I'm not explaining this well, but when it is such a narrow scope that you're keying in on game by game, you really got to be committed to what you're doing. And maybe I just have ADHD, but I think to keep that focus then on improving the little things, it could be a challenge at times, I imagine, instead of the bigger picture. Like, I think the power play, is still finding its way. It's gradually climbed. Like, you go from 1 month to the next and it's gradually climbed in terms of results. But aside from that, to get the 5v5 production that they're getting, the depth contributions that they're getting, the goaltending, this is a really complete team. And it's hard to nitpick then in between games. It's situational too. It's like, yeah, in this game specifically, we might have given up a few odd man rushes too many. So we're going to work on our rush coverage. Next game, you immediately see results. And so it's so interesting then. You find yourself going into the locker room like, what am I asking them about today? Because the penalty kill is still really good. And I just asked about why it's so good. And it's still the same reasons.
Well, first of all, I got a little distracted here because Moxie, member of Guerilla Sports, had to Google Dippin' Dots. Has never had Dippin' Dots.
Oh.
And that distracted me in and of itself just a little bit.
Is it Moxie? Where are you from?
Moxie May. And they were saying that they were thinking of Fun Dip.
Yes.
Also a great sweet treat.
I do like Fun
but
Dip.
Dippin' Dots are one of, I'll say Dippin' Dots are one of one. There's knockoff attempts that are just not the same.
I've tried to buy the store-bought knockoffs, and they're not the same.
Not the same. Sorry. So I just had to point that out. Dippin' Dots are fantastic. Moxie, I hope you get the chance to try them at some point.
Yeah.
You mentioned the contributions that they're getting. That game last night opens with beautiful stretch pass from Cale Makar to spring Martin Necas. Top guys getting things going. Second goal, Arturi Lehkonen doing what Arturi Lehkonen does, getting to the front of the net, finding rebounds. Top guys doing what they're doing. And then as you get further into this game, Buffalo is able to climb back into this game. By the way, you and I weren't sitting together last night, but I know you and I would have just been having a love fest over Tage Thompson.
Okay,
so good.
I love him so much. He's so powerful. Like, he was going toe-to-toe with Josh Manson in a puck battle, and it was a tie. It was a draw.
He's so sick. That one-timer was such a beautiful shot, beautiful play. They get the game tied. And you're starting to sit and say, okay, Buffalo has made a goalie change. Their top guy just tied the game on a power play. Bowen Byram clearly got under Nate's skin on that play.
He was talking smack to everybody. I'm like, I didn't know he was this vocal. Has he been doing this the whole time?
I think he has. I think that's a little bit of who he is. But you sit there and you say, all right, is this a moment where Buffalo's going to start to feel themselves a bit? Hey, we lost last night. We have a chance to steal one here after a slow start. And it's Gavin Brindley elevated to the second line, who comes down the right side. Just a beautiful shot, far side. And it's just that, Meghan, is one of those things that of everything that you just talked about, that's the part where I'm looking at it saying, yeah, this is what makes this team so dangerous, is the top guys can get going. And then once you figure out how to contain them and you can start to push pace, a different part of the lineup can start to make your life hell. And I hate to always be doing it. I hate to always be comparing back to the 22 team, but it's a team that had what it took to go all the way. And it was one that we were able to watch up close. That was what I thought it was about that team, was we will play you any way you want. We'll play you wherever you want, whenever you want. And it really doesn't matter. We are going to find a way to win.
Yeah.
And you guys could have, when they went head to head with the Edmonton Oilers, you guys might have the two best players on the ice, arguably, heavily argued, but you can't hang with us down the lineup. Hey, you guys might have some great forward depth. You don't have the back end like we have. And it's just, they seem right now to have an answer for everything.
Well, and even the forward depth, like looking at that cup run, you didn't really concern yourself too much with, or is it Nico Sturman? Is it Abe Kubelin? Is it Alex Newhook? Whatever that rotation was, you felt a confidence in how the bottom six was going to round out. You had Burakovsky in there at times, JT Compher in there at times. And so I think this has been a good balance of skill in the bottom six, rather than just the depth role player guys. And so I think that's why, though we love the fourth line, that could be OC, Parker Kelly, Jack Drury, you want to have the skill represented in the bottom six. That's not to say those aren't skilled guys. I think that Parker Kelly's off to a really hot start this year. Jack Drury's doing a fine job at 3C, but to imagine Ross Colton somewhere in that mix, whether it's Gabriel Landeskog staying there or Victor Olofsson, who's been there, Gavin Brindley's moonlighted there, though obviously he has a top six toolkit, I think it punctuates why it was important to go back to that roster construction for the bottom six that worked, because we are seeing Gavin Brindley find success. And I don't think that was necessarily, like, they weren't banking on that. That's just a nice added bonus, because this is still a forward core that doesn't have Logan O'Connor and Joel Kiviranta. And we're not even sure where they fit in, or Bardakov, where he fits in when everybody returns to full health. And so it's a great problem to have, first and foremost, and it's a testament to their depth. And I haven't even addressed the back end at this point, right? Like, that's just keying in on how deep the forward core is. And that is what's giving shades of 2022. I think the way that the back end is constructed is different, in that third pair, whatever it's going to be. Because I don't think this puzzle has, it's not the kind like when you finish the puzzle and you cement it and you can hang it on the wall. Not cement, but whatever that shellac is.
Damn, yeah, really.
Whatever that shellac is, right? This is a decor that hasn't been shellacked yet. And whatever that is, though, that third pair can still be a scoring threat. And that's a little bit different from the third pair in the cup run. And so to that end, too, I think it's better in ways. I don't want to say better with a capital B, but I think it's better in ways, because I think that all pairings pose an offensive threat. And we're seeing it, like, even in how the Gavin Brindley goal gets sprung. It feels as if the Avs can create offense from all three zones. And that is an exciting thing, because they're opportunistic and hungry for it too. And so it's not just what they're doing in the offensive zone. It's a threat anywhere on the ice. And I think that is because of the depth of the whole team at that point.
Yeah. I'm just going to mention this real quick. Just comment. We are going to talk about the Bardakov interview that came out earlier this week, as we get a little bit closer to the end of the show. So yes, we will talk about this. Also, quick side note, shout out Alex Newhook. Scary injury last night. He's going to miss some time. Went into the boards really awkwardly. He is going to be out for a little bit. You hope he's doing all right. I love the call out here of better, reserving a little bit of excitement, better on the back end.
It might be overall a little bit smaller. So some people do assign value to that, and they're not wrong. It's just like what amount of weight is appropriate there, because where you've maybe lost a little bit of size, you've gained skill on the offensive side of the puck.
Well, and like Cale and Taves, I don't worry about size there with those two.
No.
Sam Girard, of course. Yeah, he's an undersized defenseman, as you and I have talked about. I think Sam Girard does a lot of things really well. Being big is one thing that he doesn't really have much control over. He's not big. Sam Malinski, I really struggle to say 6 foot is undersized. That's kind of like the average size for players now, but I get it back end a little bit on the smaller side.
It's like Cale in my eyes, though. I think that he can be, he's very strong on his skates, and so he's not so easily knocked off. He might not be like in laying a hit himself, the biggest physical threat, but I also think that he can be strong on pucks more than people realize. And he's not afraid to play the body.
Right.
And so when you look at just like the overall hits, blocks from Malinski, those numbers are pretty tops on the team. So despite being put into that category of being an undersized defenseman, there's nothing about the analytics, the eye test that suggests this is a problem or even really true.
You hear me say it all the time, Meghan. Sam Malinski is diet Cale Makar light. He's got so many of those tools in there, and I'm so. He even told us a big part of the reason why he came to Colorado was to be able to play with Cale Makar, learn from Cale Makar, because that is how he tries to model his game. I look at this and say, and this is not meant to be a shot at Jack Johnson. I think Jack on that 22 run, I think Jack Johnson was good for the Avs. The decor right now, like everyone is just a level above that of where Jack Johnson was in 22 with the Avs on that back end. And again, that's me saying I thought Jack Johnson was very good for the Avs on that cup run. And I just think that this entire...
So good, they went and brought him back.
So, I just think that this 1 through 6 right now, everybody's a couple of tiers above where a guy like Jack Johnson was. Where I think you're missing is Solovyov. I think you want something a little bit better there. If we need to reach into that bag.
I like him so much. He's just a bit inexperienced in green. That's really my only knock on Solovyov, because I think he's got a little more speed upside than Keaton Middleton had. And he's just got a couple years younger. And so I don't hate that as a depth option for the Avs, but because of that youth, there's a little less experience and it shows a lack of trust.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're going to address it. I think Solovyov will likely eventually be waived and reassigned to Loveland, and they're going to get an upgrade there. But yeah, Meghan, it's just, you look at this group, and even knowing no OC last night, no Val, no Kiviranta, up front, you look and you're like, yeah, they're still really deep. And that was, again, not only the secret sauce to the Avs in 22, I think that's the secret sauce to a cup contender. You need to be able to have, and look, it was one game. He looked really good. He's got to keep doing it. But like, you've got to be able to say, hey, Val came out. We've got someone we can plug in here. We feel really comfortable.
Arturi Lehkonen light.
Right. And again, I go back, Andre Burakovsky gets hurt on that cup run. Nazem Kadri breaks his hand in the Western Conference final, and they just never missed a beat. Yes, you missed those guys. Yep, those are big players to be out of the lineup, but you just had guys that were able to slot in and be serviceable, and that's what I see here for the Avs. And when I look around the league, I see a lot of good teams that are all flawed. And that's not to say that the Avs aren't flawed, but I love the way that you put it a couple weeks ago. I see a lot of teams with holes. The Avs, to me, right now, have dimples. and that's a much better position to be in.
Dimples are so cute. But actually, they have had so many contingency plans built into how they've constructed this team that it's worth noting. The front office felt the sting of the Dallas series loss. And so in order to take accountability for that, they have loaded this team up with so many contingency plans. That's a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. And that is where the depth conversation comes into play. That's why we're talking about Gavin Brindley right now, even with OC and Kiviranta out of the lineup. And the Brent Burns addition seemed a little funky on the right side in the offseason. But one, that added a little bit more size that wasn't represented there before. And the way he uses his size is different from Josh Manson, but that made up some ground.
Yes.
And it's really helped change the complexion of this decor in a positive way. So just, this isn't me. I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? Like, it has to stand the test of time. And that's the biggest thing in all of this. It's great that they're playing great hockey right now. I think they're really concerned with how they're playing hockey in May and April. So that is also, though, the team that I'm seeing right now. That seems to be their intent, their focus. I have a lot of respect for that. And I think because of how deep they are, this should stand up well in time.
Well, and, I asked Jared about it the other day about, hey, you guys are up 9-1 against the Edmonton Oilers with 60 seconds to go, and you were stuffing the puck down their throat the whole time. She's like, why? Why were you doing that up 9-1? And it was exactly what you just said. He's like, we're building habits. I don't care if we're up 8 goals, down 8 goals, if it's the first minute, the last minute, first game of the year, last game of the year. We are building the right habits to play come April, come May, come June. And there's a mentality that just feels different in that room than it has the last 2 years. They've had really good teams the last 2 years. They've almost 3 straight 50-win seasons. There's a different energy around this group right now.
Yeah. Ross Colton, talking to him at morning skate ahead of the Anaheim game. Anaheim was coming in. They'd won 7 straight. He really wasn't focused on what Anaheim had been doing. And that was sort of in response to my question to him about the Edmonton game too. It's like, they're not so much focused on who the opponent is. It's what they're doing, what they're talking about in their own room. And I think that corroborates exactly what Jared Bednar is saying. And it's interesting because we see the beatdown on Edmonton, and that carries weight in our eyes. Like, that's a Stanley Cup final team the last couple of years. And you just beat them. You just smoked them. I don't, I'm sure there's some significance back of mind, but really they are not dwelling too much on who the opponent is. They are focused on themselves, and that's a mature team.
Yep. It's not about Buffalo. It's not about Anaheim. It's not about Edmonton. It's about us, is what Jared Bednar told me yesterday. Vaguely Sober in the chat's wondering when the Mucinex ads are going to start, and that's a great call. Hey,
love a Mucinex sponsorship.
Watching this show,
Jack Hughes,
we're in.
Guerilla Sports Off Ice listener.
We are in. We just
need your agent's name.
Yeah. Well, Megan, let's get to our guest. I am so excited to have him joining us. We've talked for a long time about getting him on the show, and we figured a 12-1-5 start for the Avs. No better time. You guys know him from BarDown, content creator for TSN, Luca Celebre. Now, Luca, my first question for you, as someone who has their last name mispronounced a lot, did I say that right, Celebre?
It was pretty close, Celebre.
Okay.
But it's on the same path. You pretty much nailed it.
Okay, all right. It was a good attempt, and that's all you can ask for, right? Luca, so great to chat with you, man. How are you doing? Where are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me. I obviously love what both of you do and have been watching a bunch. And I'm in Winnipeg right now. We've got the in Canada, we've got the Grey Cup, the championship game for the CFL.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been here all week. We've been covering it. The Jets have actually been out of town. I was hoping to catch a game, but they're on a road trip. So that's whereabouts I am right now.
Okay. All right. Well, nice. Well, I knew when you and I had talked earlier in the week, I knew you were making your way to Winnipeg. I completely spaced. Grey Cup coming up. Yeah, that's that should be a fun time. Winnipeg, we were actually talking about it earlier this week. Sneaky good food scene. You got to know the right places to go, but it's not bad. Luca, were you able to catch that game last night for the Avs?
I was able to catch it. I also do want to know eventually what the sneaky good places to eat here are, because we've had a couple, but I've also had a couple duds. So I need to get back in the win column there. But I was able to watch the game last night.
Nice. I'll have Corey Massasak from the Denver Post. He's got a list of like 15 from when we were there last time. I'll get the list and send it your way of the best places to go. We were talking just before you jumped on that this team is starting to look a little bit like it did a couple years ago, where doesn't really matter what night of the week, who they're playing, how they look. You're kind of just back to expecting them to win every single night. From your vantage point, what are you seeing out of this Colorado group here through 18 games?
Yeah, I think you both said it best, where the mentality, and both of you have a better pulse on it than me covering the team every day, but the mentality seems to have, there's just a shift in it. Like, it just seems like they are already playing playoff hockey every single game, and that's kind of the mentality that they're rolling with. And it's not to say that that wasn't the mentality for the past couple of years, but maybe it really is this this viewpoint, I guess, of, hey, we are a good team, but nothing is guaranteed. And so we don't know when we're ever going to get back to the cup. It's been a while. Maybe it's the outside noise of like, Jared has only been past the second round once, and that means something to this group and to him. And I just feel like when they step out onto the ice and watching them, there is just a different tone in the game that they are playing. And I don't know how to fully quantify that with words, but it just seems to be a difference in mindset and mentality. And it's really showed up in their play all season long.
Yeah.
Luca, I think it's great that you're not entrenched in the Avs bubble, because I want to know what the national view of this team has been. Going back to the start of the season, I think people thought that the Avs had a quiet off season. Like, okay, Brent Burns, Brock Nelson extension. What did this team really do? How different are they? So I just wanted to get your take kind of on how people have been talking about the Avs from the start of the year, and maybe how that's evolved through this point.
Ooh, that's a great question. I think
That is a great question.
I think maybe based on the moves they made, like you mentioned, I think it was like, oh, they're going to be really good again. But I think people were probably curious what this team would look like with a full season without Mikko. And I guess it was pre-Necas extension. So what that would look like, if that would be a distraction, if they were going to get that done early on, how that would play out. And given how it kind of played out last year in the trade, how long would they want that to kind of go into the season? So I think generally the consensus was maybe like, obviously a very good team, but was the trade a good one? And would we find out if they would be better off for it this season immediately? I think that was kind of where people were going with it. And now through 18 games, I think it's shifted. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong, maybe, but like, I think it's shifted to like, this is the best team in hockey, and it's maybe not even close at this point.
Yeah, no. And honestly, I'm so glad you asked that, because I wanted to ask the same thing, because we're here, you know, we see these guys every day. And for me, like, as you know, watching other teams that are, you know, coming into Ball Arena, or just, you know, when the Avs are out on the road, like, they look like the best team to me. But I also know that, yeah, we're up close. I see them every day. I see the habits. I know there's a lot of other, you know, there's a lot of other good teams out there. But we were just talking, like, every team at this point of the season is going to have flaws, right? Things that you want to make better, things that you want to correct. But like, it feels to me, and again, as someone who's not, you know, super up close with one team, it feels to me like the Avs are maybe the only team that aren't like deeply flawed, that have multiple changes that need to be made. Feels like just a couple tweaks for the Avs, and I don't necessarily know if that's the case for the rest of the league. Do you feel the same way, having that little bit more broad look at what's going on around the league?
I do, for sure. It feels like the only, I guess, like, flaw maybe going into the season was because Blackwood was hurt. Like, what would the goaltending look like? And especially given the past couple seasons, like the goaltending with Georgiev last year obviously was a bit of a train wreck at the beginning of the year, forcing them to make these moves. So could they get consistency in net without the guy that they wanted to be their number one early in the season? And they answered that question pretty resoundingly with a yes, they could get it with Scott Wedgewood. And obviously the defensive play in front of him has been incredible as well, which I think is like the most impressive part of this for me, is just the Brent Burns addition, how that has helped them, but also doing this without Gerard for long stretches. And the play of a guy like Sam Malinsky has been just so impressive to me. He has looked incredible. And so many times I'm just watching and I'm like, is that Kale? Wait, they play so similarly. It's so funny. And it catches me off guard every time, because they're both right-handed shots. But I would agree with you. I think, like, out of all of the contenders that we're looking at, Florida had so many injuries coming into the season, and Edmonton, it was always like goaltending and defense. There really isn't anything to pick apart with this team. It's rare.
Yeah.
I wanted to follow up on the trade conversation. Like, can they survive a full season without Mikko? Are you a Marty Necas believer? What
Oh,
was
yeah.
your initial reaction to that extension? How do you think it's going to age?
I am a Necas believer for sure. He has won me over, as I'm sure a lot of Avs fans with his play. He's just so dynamic. I didn't realize how dynamic he was with the puck on his stick and how fast he could be and the moves he makes. And it's obviously a different element than what Mikko brought to the lineup because he was all about power, but for a powerful guy and a big guy, like he could skate still. It wasn't that he wasn't a good skater by any means and great in the corners, but yeah, I'm a believer. I think the contract is going to age really, really well. And he's obviously a little younger than Mikko, so that helps, but I'm a full-on believer now. Like this 18 game stretch, and even last year what he did, I'm a full-on believer in what he can be, and him being a perfect fit for this system.
Well, I love what you just said there because I think it's also the approach that his camp took and the Avs took of like, hey, last year went really well. Let's make sure that we feel good about this and we get off to a good start. So what you just said there. Luca, where are you normally? I know you're in Winnipeg right now. Are you normally based in Toronto?
I am, yes. Normally in Toronto.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about
baby.
We don't have to get too far into the Leafs, but Meghan mentioned the Avs had a quiet summer. And it felt like the last, really since they won the Cup, starting that next season with, we don't really know what's going on with Gabe. And we were really early in learning what's happening there. You have the back-to-back seasons with the Val Nichushkin stuff. As someone who lives in the center of the hockey universe and sees the chaos that follows around a team like the Maple Leafs, because Meghan and I have talked about it a lot, that we think that the quietness around this team is part of what's been so good for them early. Do you see that have an effect on Leaf players, that organization, that just so much noise constantly can take a toll, and having a team as good as the Avs not having to deal with that can make a difference?
I think it can. I think like we've seen it with this Leafs team specifically a lot where obviously the playoff shortcomings, it's not to blame the outside noise on them at all, but I think when they compound and compound and compound year after year after year, there is that mental wear and tear, I think, with being the center of sports in this city, quite frankly. Even they had a bit of a distraction when the Jays were in the World Series and going 7 games to kind of mask maybe some of their early season struggles. But now that they are like, again, back in the spotlight, a lot of, and I know Twitter is a tough place to like judge how fan bases are feling and like what the vibe is, because it's generally not positive, even if you are winning a ton of games. Like it's always the sky is falling and always negativity. But we've already seen like, I feel like the overwhelming reaction is now turned on Craig Berube in a sense of like, was this the right move? Like we were very lucky with Dubas and Keefe because the style of play is just completely shifted from that high octane offense that possessed the puck a lot and was exciting. And like they had their defensive deficiencies, but now it's just like we're playing low event hockey and we're scoring a ton, but like we're not generating a ton. And we're relying on our goalies heavily again, and they are not being the goalies that they were last year, and goaltending is so iffy. So I think it definitely compounds, and the media definitely makes it harder, where, like you mentioned, a market like Colorado, a ton of great sports teams, and the quietness of it probably does help a little bit. I would imagine it does anyway.
Yeah, that Blue Jays ending was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
Very much so.
The other day, Jesse asked me if I have found new ways to talk about Nathan MacKinnon and how impressive he is. So I want to ask you about Nathan MacKinnon because I've run out of different ways to talk about him. But really what I want to know too is, since you do have a really good pulse on the other stars around the league, what is it about Nathan MacKinnon that makes him so special and maybe different from other stars around the league?
That's a great question. I want to know how you guys continually find ways to talk about him as well after, because I'm just like, I'm kind of at a loss for words every time I watch him and he does something. I guess like the comparisons of like 1A, 1B to him and McDavid of who the best player in the world is have been going on for a while. And the easy way to compare them, I guess, is like the speed. But I feel like I've heard players talk about it before. It's just how ferocious his skating is. It just feels he is backing you down every single time he touches the puck, to the point where, I don't know, I feel like if I was a defender, I'd fall over every time I just see him skating towards me, because it just feels so violent, and he's like attacking the ice and attacking your space and can still stick handle so well at that speed. I just don't know. McDavid is obviously very special. He's the best player in the world, I think, for I would take McKinnon a lot as well if I was putting money on it, but the way they approach the game is so different, where it feels like McDavid is a little more finesse in his game and his skating, and it looks a lot prettier is not the word I want to use, but it just like, it has an art form to it where Nate just seems, again, like it's just so violent and so forceful. His shooting even represents, I feel like, those traits as well, where takes those one-timers, where as a guy like McDavid, I don't think does that as much. And that's why you see the goal totals from Nathan. But I want to know from you guys, like, how do you guys just find ways to talk about his growth, still coming from covering him for a long period of time as well and seeing his growth and development?
The way that I talk about it most frequently to people is, I remember, being in middle school, high school, and talking about, oh man, that's got to be so awesome for people in Pittsburgh and people in DC who get to watch Sidney Crosby every night and Alex Ovechkin. And that's kind of what I say to people now. I was like, I had a moment a couple years ago. I realized, like, oh, damn, that's what I'm living through right now, is I'm getting to watch Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar every single night. We were talking about, just Avs greats and stuff like that. And I told Meghan, I said, I know people are going to wince when I say this, but, work with me a bit on it. I said, Nathan MacKinnon is kind of like if you took Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and stuck them together. Because like you said, he plays with that physicality, that kind of violence, guys hanging off them, kind of like Peter Forsberg. But then he also has the speed and the release and all that stuff of Joe Sakic. And when you run out of ways to describe him, you start mashing names together. So that's really that's kind of how it is for me. But Meghan always gets great responses and great answers out of Jared Bednar, because he even's like, I don't know what else to say about this. Do you have a way that you look at it?
I mean, it's nothing new from what we've already said. He's the embodiment of a competitor. So I think his on-ice impact is obvious, but I think the cultural impact away from it is what makes Nathan MacKinnon very special too. And I loved when we talked about Gabriel Landeskog being the heartbeat of the team, Nathan MacKinnon being the engine. I think that sums it up perfectly, because he is a huge driver of the success that the Avs are having. And sometimes he can take games completely in his own hands, but I think he does truly lead by example. I think that gets overused in talking about less vocal leaders, but Nathan MacKinnon truly does lead by example, because there's implied consequence if you don't meet that standard. You'll have to answer for it. And
because of the implication.
Exactly. There's an accountability aspect there too, but everybody loves that part of being Nathan MacKinnon's teammate.
Yeah. Well, and Luca, to your point about like him versus McDavid, like I always look at it as like, McDavid will go around anybody. He can go around anybody. Nathan MacKinnon will go around or through you if he needs to, and he's just got that kind of element to his game. Luca, we'll only keep it for a couple more minutes. Thank you so much. I know you've got stuff you got to get to, so we really appreciate you taking some time to join us here. The chat has been blowing up. People are so excited that we've got you on here. We're going to have you back on. But just, for you, where are you kind of at expectation wise? Like you said, Meghan and I actually have a really fun perspective on Twitter versus real life. And it's hard to, we went and did a video a couple years ago about like, let's see how these line up. And it's nowhere near the same, but I love, I think it's Elliot Friedman's line of, sometimes fans forget that you play 182 game season and not 82 one-game seasons. And I even had some people last night when it gets tied at 3-3 that are in my mentions, like, oh, this team, this is why. Where are you at? Your expectations, or do you have expectations? Or are you just saying kind of let's let it fall where it is. Just where are you at going forward with this group? What are you looking for going forward?
Well, first of all, I could talk Avs all day, so you're not taking up any time. I'm very grateful and appreciative of both of you. Like I said, I love the work that you both do and love following you guys. So
likewise, just so you know.
Yes, it's mutual.
It's an honor to be here, and I'm happy to come back anytime. Expectations are a tough thing for sure, and that's such a great line of it's 182 game season and not 82 1-game seasons, because the overreactions, and I think it's an all sports problem, quite frankly. The overreactions to small sample sizes in one game are so I don't know. It makes sports toxic sometimes, and like
Totally.
teams, because you have to enjoy the process. And I feel like, given what we've seen through 18 games so far, like the process is what I am most encouraged by. And so like expectations are always, I feel, with this team, like Stanley Cup, and it's tough to say Stanley Cup or bust, because hockey's such a parity sport where the best team doesn't always win, or like the best team in the regular season can have a stretch of 7 games where the puck isn't going in the net and they're generating a ton. And I mean, I've seen it firsthand with the Leafs in some of those losses, where it's like they have been the better team in some of these playoff series, that the puck just doesn't go in for their big players and best players. And that's how it is sometimes, where like the NBA, if you have a star player, he'll take over and you'll win games. And if he doesn't, then you'll lose. And sometimes it's as simple as that. So cup or bust is not how I want to phrase it. But yeah, I think like Stanley Cup conference finals at the very least are fair expectations given what we've seen. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but I'm sure those are the expectations of the guys in there. And it has been like that ever since they won the cup. And it was probably like that for the couple years prior, when this was all kind of starting and this window was opening. So that's how I feel. And I'm really encouraged by what I've seen. Like the wins and losses at this point are what they are, but the style of play they're playing, and just how they tilt the ice every single night, like more often than not, you're going to win games playing how they're playing. And so that's an encouraging sign through 20.
That was a great answer.
Yeah, that's a great reminder.
It's level-headed.
Yeah.
And have fun watching this team right now.
Don't take it for granted.
Yeah, no, that was a great answer. I love it. Meghan, do you have anything else?
I wanted to know your hockey lore. Like, why Avs? Why Avs hockey?
So, growing up, I come from a big Italian family of basically Montreal fans and Leaf fans. And when I got into hockey first, my first memories of hockey were watching the Olympics that Joe Sakic won MVP at Salt Lake City. And I'll never forget that gold medal game where he had a couple goals, the breakaway, obviously, to seal it. And from that moment on, and one of my cousins was kind of like a Leafs Avs fan, but he loved Joe Sakic. That was his favorite player. So from that moment on, I was like, I'm a Joe Sakic fan. I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan. Like, this is my team. The jerseys are cool. Everything about this team is sweet.
Nice.
My first heartbreaking Avs memory I can remember is Game 7 against the Wild, when I guess it was Patrick Waugh's last game. And so like, that's my earliest Avs memory I have. So it was like after the cup wins, but still being able to watch these legends, which was really cool. The bad years were not great, but that's okay. That's kind of sports and how life goes, and you cheer through all of them. But yeah, that's kind of my Avs lore. Where for you guys, like, what's covering the team is a little different, but like, did you guys grow up Avs fans? Like, what is your lore?
Do you want to go first?
I'll speed run it. Yes. I did not grow up here. I moved here in 2006, Air Force brat. And so my introduction to hockey was actually Air Force college hockey.
Wow.
But the minute I laid eyes on it, I fell in love. And so I said, well, just weekend games with a college hockey schedule isn't enough. I need to say way more of this. And I just turned on the TV to watch the Avs, like the local team, because I could watch them the most frequently. Yeah. And that's the short version.
Oh, that's
mine.
So cool.
Was my family moved here from a state that had no professional teams. We moved here in 1995, so 1 year before the Avs got to town, and the Avs show up, kind of take the city by storm because they're the best shot at the first pro championship. My parents didn't really know anything about hockey. My dad got super into it. I was 2, and or I guess I was about 3 almost. And just by the time I turned 4, I was carrying around vacuum hose attachments, pretending they were hockey sticks, because I just could not get enough. And so, yeah, so really the Avs moving to Colorado is what got my whole family on it. And then I got a pair of skates when I was 4, started skating, and now I'm here.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
And so, yeah, so no, those early Avs teams, it's funny. Like I joke with my parents and stuff, like, who knew that us getting into hockey in that 95-96 season would like not only set me up for like a sport that I love, but like I now get to do this and all that stuff. And it's the beauty of hockey, right? Like it gives us so much. And I love the game so much. And so, yeah, so no, it Joe Sakic era Avs are what got me. So I'm right there with you. But so I was going to say you started following them right after the 2002 Olympics and stuff. So the cup from a couple years ago was extra sweet for you.
Yeah, that was like first one that I've seen as like a fan of the team, and the closest that they've ever been, I guess, in my kind of lifetime of being an Avs fan. Like I remember there was like that stretch in the early, I guess like, oh man, was it like 05, 06, 07? I feel like they were facing like the Stars a couple times. And like, I remember the Wild series and OT goals from Sakic and all of those kind of playoff moments. But yeah, the recent run has been like the most enjoyable experience of all time. Just being able to watch these guys grow together and complete the ultimate dream. And it's just such a special feeling as like a fan of the team. And I'm in there forever now, obviously. Like it's a lifelong thing. But yeah, that was the first cup, which was just crazy.
Dude, that's amazing. And hey, there's some older Avs fans who don't like when I say stuff like this, but I really do. I actually think, and it was part of the reason why I was, I was bummed for the team when they moved on from Mikko Rantanen last year, because I really do feel like this era is getting to the point where it's superseding the 90s, early 2000s, where this team, this core, this coaching staff is, if they can get one more, they can hang one more banner, I think you're going to have a real argument to make of like, yeah, this is the glory days right now that are, like I said, superseding what happened in the early 2000s and stuff. But so yeah, Avs fans, I know, love having you. Like I said, the chat has been lighting up this whole time. We're going to have you back on. Let's see if we can make this regularly scheduled. We'll get you on here a bunch.
We'd love it.
I'm absolutely in. And like I said, I'll sing your praises for anyone to listen to. You guys are amazing at what you do. Very grateful to be here. And like I said, anytime I'm here, I love talking Avs. It's fun not to talk Leafs or like just be in Toronto and like talk Avs with other people. That it just doesn't hit the same when you're talking to people that also love the Avs.
Yeah. I love it, Luca. Thank you so much for coming on. Luca from BarDown and TSN. You can find his work on both of those platforms. Also at Luca Celebre 21 on X. Make sure you're following him. He's an outstanding follow, does great work. Luca, we appreciate it so much. I'll talk to you soon. We'll have you back on here shortly.
Sounds good. Have a great one, guys. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Luca.
Bye.
See ya. Awesome to have him on.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
Great.
He's so great. It's one of those, like, since it was the first one ever, you just wanted to learn everything. Yes. Like, so what are your thoughts on every single player on the Avs? Let's just go through the roster.
Start at the top, numerical. Here we go. We did have a super chat in there. I think I saw, boom, hit the super chat lights. Bring Luca back again. Love this. Also, pyramid supplies. Yes, we do have a player ranking pyramid in the works. Meghan was asking to do it a little bit early,
which would have been funky,
which would have also been a little bit late because we missed the first 10
games.
So
I was like, well, let's just do game 15.
Yep.
And Jesse very reasonably said game 20. So
game 20.
Game 20.
And hey, no more Chloe, but which makes
gosh,
us sad.
I'm too Mucinexed out for this. I'm gonna cry. I don't know if that's a side effect.
I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna fill the Chloe shoes. They're teeny tiny physical shoes.
You got to get little Uggs.
Big shoes. We do. Let's get a little tiny pair for right here. Do you think Chloe's...
In memory of Chloe.
Yeah.
She's not dead. She just moved.
She just moved. She just gone. Do you think Chloe's watching right now?
I hope so.
I
This
hope
was
so,
a really
too.
beautiful tribute.
Yeah, this was. We're gonna buy tiny Uggs in your. And you know what? Let's leave us. Hey, Chloe, text me tiny Uggs, like those words.
Yep,
If you watch
yep.
this, that way I'll know if you're a real friend or not, and you still watch our show even after you move.
Facts.
We want to talk about Bardakov, and I think that's probably a good spot to wrap
wind
up
it
this
down.
Mucinex Out podcast.
Yikes.
Speaking of Mucinex, we got another super chat here from Vaguely Sober.
Speaking of Mucinex.
Our Mucinex buddy. Vaguely Stats actually now has the name change. Jesse stole Chloe's shoes. I didn't do a good enough job because she still left.
Or it's like, you know what? I go to my workplace. They steal my shoes. I can't handle this
I
environment.
have to leave.
It's toxic.
I want to just give a quick shout out. I loved what Luca said there about when I asked about expectations. I thought that was such a good answer.
It's such a good answer because we really do need to lock in and be really present for how fun this team is right now.
Mhm.
It is fun and it's different on a nightly basis. Like, yeah, I'm sure the way that Buffalo game, the exchanging of goals after such a hot start probably felt a little funky, but they recovered and then decidedly won. So
Yeah,
that was cool.
well, and like you've heard me talk about it before. My first year, I wasn't in the room every day, but it was my first year covering the team at a professional level was 16, 17. So like some of y'all don't remember those days. And when you see those days and you live them and you live through the days of 45% capacity at Ball Arena because
the tickets were so cheap, you guys. I was sitting lower bowl
for like $13 a
Yep.
ticket before fees.
Yep.
And so like when you've lived through that, I've actually talked to my mom about it. Like that loss, my parents are huge Avs fans. That loss last year, it's moments like that, as much as they suck and as bad as they hurt, the loss against Vegas in 2021, those are terrible. It sits with you all summer, but those are the moments that make the 2022 moment that much better.
Yeah, so special. Like that Vegas exit ahead of the 2022 season, I think gave you the, what's what I'm looking for, like navigation system in how to properly appreciate what 2022 is going to be. And I think that's going to be true of this Dallas loss from last year. It really did sting. So I don't know where the Avs go this year. It's just, don't forget to appreciate a good team when you have it.
When you have it. Let's put a bow on everything by talking about
Zakar
Bardakov.
Naturally. Hey, just wanted to park a tiny bit of time for Landiskog and his goals.
Oh, all right. Yes. And truthfully, we should have even asked Luca about like, what the hell?
What the hell-y? Okay, so I personally thought that was goaltender interference. This might be controversial.
I agreed with Jared's assessment after.
But it's 50-50.
I thought it was I thought it was 50-50. I thought you had an argument that he got pushed in. I also thought there was a pretty strong argument for he made contact on his own.
Well, so the way I see it is more so his presence in the crease prevented UPL. Was it still UPL in that? From being able to do his job. Basically, he could not come across. And so I even think there's pretty minimal contact. It's the fact that his foot's in the crease when he needs to be coming across and he can't because Jack Drury's there. I don't think Jack Drury is trying to be there. I think, so it's like in terms of egregious goalie interference, I don't think this ranks pretty high. I don't think that was even Jack Drury's intent. But I still think his sheer presence prevented UPL from being able to do his job.
I agree.
And I do think too, like there is a little bit of a push into the crease, but then Jack Drury, there's like this split second where I don't think he's necessarily hopping out either.
Yeah. Like I said, I saw the argument for defenseman had his stick on his hip, pushing him. I saw the argument. I think what you're saying is
And I don't
pretty
think
spot
it's
on.
super egregious. I think there's even this awareness in Jack Drury's body language of not wanting to get any closer
Yep,
to
yep,
UPL.
yep.
But the trouble is his foot was still in the crease.
Mhm.
It's like he needed to do more actively to withdraw.
And it looked like stick on pad a little bit.
So that's the other thing I was looking for is kind of like in the left skate and stick on pad, if kind of a smaller detail of interference was there. And honestly, I couldn't come away with a clear decision on that part. It just felt like, by the definition of what this is, UPL was unable to do his job because of Jack Drury there.
Mhm.
So, and I think Jack Drury being there was a point where he was kind of pushed there and then a point where he could have withdrawn a little
Mhm.
bit. Look, I don't want to get too hung up on the goalie interference call specifically, but more so just the bad luck that Gabriel
Jeez
Landeskog has
Louise.
had with getting some of these goals righteously.
Yeah. Should be 5 on the season for him because he does get the empty netter last night, which he deserves an empty netter.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I've seen commentary around Gabe Landeskog in the last week. Like, he's only got 1 goal, man. He's not really doing much. It's like, yeah, he's also got 3 that were taken back.
Yeah.
And the goalie interference one is the only one that you can make the real argument of like, he received an advantage. And, but like the other 2 were great plays, great shots, really close. The first one in particular, really ticky-tack offside. It's really bad luck. And hey, I also give credit to Jared Bednar for that challenge. Like, that's for your captain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we've got I think it right now is 3rd ranked, but yeah, we've got a top 5 penalty kill. Even if this doesn't go our way, it's fine. It's the principle of it that matters more.
And yeah, I really did.
4th ranked PK
now. I thought it was 50-50.
You could sell me on 50-50. I certainly saw the argument for, and I think just sitting in the arena, everyone was like, no. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Bardikov does
lock in
an interview. I don't necessarily want to say in Russia, but it was in Russian. Just talking about life in North America, adjusting to being an NHL player, and all of that. And for the most part, Meghan, I thought it was just interesting, insightful, and it sounds like 90% he's doing well. He's getting adjusted. He's settling in. The one thing, and I personally think, Meghan, that it's been made a little bit too much of online. I get it. He wants more ice time. And he said in the interview, I've already talked to my agent about talking with management. He wants more ice time. Jared Bednar said last night, Zakar Bardakov is growing on him. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, but just, was there anything that jumped out at you from this interview with Zakar?
Yeah, let me just read this little snippet specifically. It says, It was tough at first, but after I got my first point, things got easier. I understand what the coaches want. I won't lie. Ice time is a concern. I've already spoken with my agent about discussing it with the club's management. I'm not making many mistakes, but I usually play in the first period. Then I wait. When they put me out for a couple of shifts in the second, you come back to the bench feeling like you've played a whole game. In Russia, I played 15 to 20 minutes and I handled it fine. I understand this is an adaptation period, but how long am I supposed to wait? I won't, there's more quotes that have a similar sentiment. And I think what's tough is Jared Bednar addressed this very thing too in talking about situationally, maybe they are either trying to protect what is a pretty small lead, or they've had a lead taken away from them early in the game. And so they have to manage the game then. And that's just not conducive to putting out your 4th line more necessarily. And so it's of note to me that Bardikov not only plays late in the Buffalo game, but on the penalty kill very specifically.
Yeah.
And he handled himself well. So I like that both sides kind of answered the call in that situation, that whether Jared Bednar saw this article or not, he used him late in a game in a situation that required some trust. And I think Bardikov handled it well, because there's 2 sides to that, right? It's like, well, Bardikov, whose minutes are you taking?
Right.
Where's that coming from? It's not that I have any criticism of how Bardakov has played through this point. It's just a question of, well, whose minutes are those coming from then? You know, where are you taking away minutes from to give to you more? And it's tough because I think a lot of that, it's just understanding what a fourth line role is too, and recognizing that you're going to have to find ways to make an impact in limited minutes. And when you master that, that's when you get a little bit more of a leash. And it's tough too with the Val injury, because now less experienced guys might be getting rotated in there until Logan O'Connor is healthy. And so with a Taylor McCarr, for example, those minutes are going to be a little bit more sheltered. It's just going to then make finding those minutes for Bardakov just a little bit tricky. So I think he just needs to be patient is where I'm going with this, because it's hard to really earn trust at the 4C position. I think he has done everything asked of him through this point, but the final box to tick is the reps, and you only get those in time. So I think it's just a matter of time for Bardakov. And he needs to have the right attitude about it. It's good that he wants more minutes, though. I don't think that's a bad thing, as long as he has the right attitude and understanding, you know, what needs to be done to achieve earning the trust to get those minutes, and accepting his role too. Like, there's a balance of both.
I also, the only part of it that I found interesting was when he said, I played 15 to 20 minutes in the KHL and I was fine. It's like, yeah, this isn't the KHL. This is a lot faster, a lot better, a lot more skilled. And like, I think that ties in with like the having a good attitude, having the right perspective. Like, yeah, exactly. You're going to get there. Are you as comfortable in the NHL as you were in the KHL? I guarantee probably not. And to your point just now, you're being asked to play a different role. Play that role, play it to the best of your ability. And the minutes are going to come. Jared Bednar said last night, he's growing on me. And I have to imagine that, I don't necessarily know if Jared read the whole article, but I imagine it was at least like, hey, we're getting this from Zakar and his agent.
Yeah.
You know, we just need to be aware of this. I genuinely, and it's part of my pushback on the folks who would talk about Taylor McCarr getting called up just because of who he is. Like, if there's one thing that Jared Bednar has shown time and time and time and time again, is that he is going to play the guys that he trusts, that he feels have earned the minutes, and that he feels are going to give him the best chance to win. If Bardakov continues to take steps, he's going to get more ice time. If he continues to become more trustworthy, he's going to get more ice time. And if Jared Bednar feels that playing Zakar Bardakov is going to give his team, his line, whatever, the best chance to win, that's what he's going to do. So I'm with you. Bardakov, he's got to continue getting better, keep some patience, have the right attitude. And I think Jared Bednar really likes him. I think he sees the upside and the potential. He just got to keep going through the process.
Yeah, because someone pointed out in the chat that Gavin Brindley has been able to make the most of limited minutes, and it's earned him a promotion in the lineup. You know, the production that Brindley has been able to have. Now, two very different players,
Sure.
So I think that's worth noting. But the production impact that Brindley has been able to have in limited minutes, but I think the attention to detail has earned him some favor too, has been what has granted him some of that trust. I think in Bardakov's case, just for example, like his ice time is average 626 right now on the season. He plays 852 last night. Taylor McCarr, 711 last night. 3 shots on net, 1 missed shot, 3 hits. In limited minutes, Taylor McCarr made more of an impact one game to the next, because I think his stat line was pretty similar coming out of the San Jose game. If I was reading off other call-ups that we've seen in the past, Jean-Luc Foudy, for example, that is not how that stat line would normally read. So I just wanted to emphasize, too, what you're saying, like Taylor McCarr earning this call-up isn't just because of the weight his last name carries. He is also really absorbing what that role needs to be at this level and how to make an impact shift by shift. It's not so different then from what's being asked of Bardakov. There's a little more expected of him, though, because of the experience he has playing among men in the KHL. And that's what it boils down to. As long as he continues to have a fair attitude about it, I think the opportunities will come. But it was just an interesting article.
Mhm.
The bit about Valnichishkin yapping about discipline was pretty funny.
I thought
to
that
me.
was so good. I get tired of hearing about discipline and process, and I thought that was great. I just gotta. I'll show it to you after. Bagel
Perfect.
just sent me a text. Got anything else?
That's probably good for now.
My brain's just.
It's Mucinex out.
It's Mucinex. So yeah, I'm.
Oh, sorry. This is so funny.
No.
If a
I'm
goal
part of
gets
it.
called back, can we call it a Landy?
Hold
Hold on. A Landy, LOL. So I saw someone propose like a Landy trick where
Oh,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
goal called back, an assist, and a goal.
And a goal. I saw that. Yeah. I like it. I'm in.
Yeah, Landiskog trick. That sounds weird. I'm not sold on the name here.
Well, because there's Gordie Howe hat trick.
It's
So
the
can you do
it's the syllables. Da-da-da-da.
Gabe Landy hat trick?
Gabe Landy.
That's still too many.
Gordie Howe. Gordie
Gabe
Howe.
Land.
Gabe Landy. Okay, you guys, we don't need to do this on air. We'll figure
I was
it
gonna
out.
say, if you guys,
We'll workshop it.
someone said call it a Swedish fish,
Ooh, that's really cute.
a Gabe trick.
Gabe trick. Why was that so weird when I said it a second ago? All right, I'm gonna start teared up by how funny I think all of this is.
That's gonna do it.
That's gonna do it.
Yeah, we're just gonna be puddles of Mucinex on this fucking studio floor by the end of it. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. We got Ashley. We got John back there. It's Mucinex and it's Friday. It's just like it's an off day for the
Mucinex
Avs.
and it's Friday.
I don't even know. I'm so buzzed on Mucinex right now. There's no way to tell. That's gonna do it, guys. We'll be back Sunday. Avs taking on the Islanders. Jonathan Drouin, Patrick Waugh coming to town. And then we'll be back at it with a pod on Monday, of course. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you Sunday.
Bye.